Alright, so since the last video, this is on the 67 Camaro convertible. Going over the firewall. This car was all kind of put in some sort of black primer, and I don't know what it is. I didn't do this job. Got pulled out of storage, and this is how the project had basically stalled. Here, I'll do a quick walk around so you get the idea. There's basically new quarters, new doors, all the fenders, hood on the front, all that stuff is brand new. The tail pan looks like the bottom's original. We're not sure. It might actually be original. It cleaned up really nice. Trunk lid's new. We know the quarters are new. The inner quarters aren't new, however. Just the outers, but not the, wheel houses. And then there's a little bit of patchwork. Nothing too crazy. Brand new full one-piece floor. Brand new trunk lid. Brand new frame rails. So, where we left off... Now, I had the axle out of here since the other video. I simply put it back in so we could throw wheels on it and get it in the booth. But here you can see, and this is something with these. I think I talked about it in the other video, but I'm not sure. But anyway, this would not come up all the way. So we called ridetech, and ridetech said to put a shim in here, or cut it and weld it, and honestly, it sounded more like they were... well, what do you want to do with it type of deal? Now, I still got 2 bolts to put in. Those have a steel plate in there that's threaded. There you can kind of see it. But anyway, we got to ream them out just a touch to one side, and just on the one side. But otherwise, that fits in. That front pipe is supposed to be tight against the front, but also up. And it is so tight that when we took it off and drilled our holes, it actually left a little mark in the metal where it had bent it. So we're happy with that. You can kind of see where the 4 links are going to come back. We're going to have to weld brackets on up here. So we'll shim all that up in a video down the road or whatever. We'll mock it up, put it on. We're just going to tack them all. And then we're going to come back here. I don't know if I can get up there, but you can see there on that bracket. There's little holes up there, and some sort of bracket goes there, and that's going to be our anti-sway bar. And then these right here is where the coilovers actually come down, and they land somewhere back here. And then I think I showed towers in a video that bolt to the bottom of this, and on the back side there's like an aluminum thing, like a bracket or a spacer, and basically that's what the coilover goes to. So basically we'll have a triangulated 4-link at the back. We'll have our coilovers and all ridetech stuff, and then of course we also have the anti-sway bar. And we do have the anti-sway bar for the front. Now, one thing I'd mention, if you're doing this ridetech thing and you're putting that in there, I'm going to sit right down in here. These here have a little bend up. Now, the reason we couldn't get this to go all the way up, well, part of the reason, this here, we had to put this on a block of wood and knock that down. And I mean, we moved it about 1/4 of an inch, and that just all basically went right up into place. Now, what ridetech didn't tell me, and I wish they would have, so this is kind of what I want to talk to you guys out there if you might ever do this and you've never done one. They tell you to put them in and drill all the holes. I'd recommend don't drill the holes on the inside, just drill these 4 first. And if you got the rails with those heavy brackets in there like I do, you don't have to. But even if you drill these 3, when you put these bolts in, that one is actually going to suck it forward nice and tight, and these are going to suck it up. And you just do like spin it a couple turns, it'll pull it right up into place. And the cool thing is we had all our holes drilled and marked. It pulled it so tight, all those guys there's 5 of them in total. They all pushed right through by hand with 1 finger, and then the other guy grabbed a nut on the top and tightened them all down. And those were a little bit tighter. We just gave them a quick ream out with the drill bit and put the bolts in. And when I say a bit, I'm talking like we could have jammed them in, but we didn't want to bugger up the threads. And then, of course, you come inside here and you see where those all go. Mark those after and drill them. That way it allows you to pull it all the way up. I wish they would have said that to me, but hey, I was lucky, and I kind of looked at it, thought about it, and I was able to figure it out. So we're pretty happy with that. There's only like... 2 bolts on each side of the front and 1 hanger at the back. We just have this sitting in here to roll it in and out. I may paint around it, but basically what we got to do now is tape it off at the sills. I'm slowly going under the car. We're going to Scotch-Brite everything, just kind of the last chance to sand. And that whole bottom of the car is going to get painted. So we're getting there. Another thing with ridetech, if you do the frame connectors that go under the car, they don't fit on anything unless it's like a coupe. So as soon as you hit the convertible, they don't seem to have one that clears all the extra. You can see how they added all this extra bracing. That's not on on a regular car. That's convertible only. So we had to go to Hotchkiss for those, which is fine. We like those. But we also got, if you see the middle, your transmission cross member goes up in there somewhere, but we got one from Hotchkiss, kind of dips down and has some angles to it, and that's going to give us strength. So it kind of puts like an X brace using the convertible stuff. You know, so anyway, my point is, with that cage back there, what we're doing here, this car is going to be very, very rigid, so you're not going to have a lot of body movement and twist. The coilovers are going to basically absorb all of that. And, you know, we're basically spreading strength throughout the car. Now, the full one-piece floor came down to here, and it turns out there's some welding and stuff. I was originally told that they came right up to here because it was the old style one-piece. It wasn't. It did stop down there. We've got an original firewall, and it's seen some work and whatnot. So we went ahead, and because it was parked for a long time, there was some little marks and stuff where I don't think the last guy did a good job, say, going over some of the rusty spots. So I went ahead and sanded right through until everything was clean, and we basically hit it with a little bit of etching primer. So we'll give that a Scotch-Brite, put a slightly better primer on there, and then this will be ready to paint, because we're basically going to come right up, right to the dash line here, where the dash starts. The dash will be painted when the car's painted, but we're going to come from here down. We're going to go right down, and then we're going to chase it all the way to the back, right to the valance, and we're going to stay inside the sills. So here I might go ahead and paint up to in here, but out here that gets done with the car. We're not doing that. So the next guy, this is going to another shop later for some kind of custom paint job. So we will do a video on that, but I mean that could be a year away. But all the stuff we're doing now, I mean that I don't mind sharing because we can, right? So basically, we came in here, there was some welding work that was a little rough. That's a paintable undercoating, so I am going to go ahead when I paint in here. I mean, we were only asked to paint here, but we'll come right around here. And we clean that up, bit of undercoating and whatnot. You can't bury stuff. Make sure you clean the rust out and sand it out, but that just cleans it up. And we're going to paint right over the top of all that, so it'll all be sealed as one. And we'll probably hit that triangle, and then from here out, because that's in under the fender, but you still want it protected. So up there we'll just paint, but back here too, it was in really good shape, but there was a lot of pitting. We hit that with the paintable undercoating. I mean, that'll turn like rock hard, and then we'll paint that. We should be okay there. It was just to make it look nice. When you're looking under the hood, you can't really see down there with the exhaust and stuff, so we should be good. You can kind of see on this side here where they sort of welded in some pieces to make it work from the floor to there, but nothing too major. And I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty good car. Now this would have been a good car to undercoat the whole bottom of the car. You can see we did that pocket there the same way. It's still a little shiny, but you can see here it's bumpy. Don't use gravel guard. It's soft, it melts. If you ever get any kind of moisture behind it because it ain't perfect, it kind of sweats behind and rusts out. But if you use the undercoat, it'll kind of over time decay and fall apart. We're talking over 30, 40 years or whatever, right? So, but it's a hard product, so you don't have to worry about it absorbing a bunch of moisture like a rubber skin. It'll, if it fails, it'll breathe. With a gravel guard, it's like putting a plastic bag over a piece of metal. So it's just something to think about. It's not that you can't use it, but make sure you do some kind of primer sealer first, and make sure you've got no rust happening underneath, and it's got to be clean. Now, I find you're better with an old classic car. You clean up the bottom, maybe you paint it, some sort of satin black. There's a lot of ways. You can Google all that stuff. Lots of videos on YouTube. And the thing about painting the bottom of the car, and the reason we like satin black, if you ever have a few spots to touch up, spray it on with a can of satin black, pretty much anything, and it'll sort of blend right in and look good. So we're talking not like extreme show car, but you know, your daily driver, but you want a nice one. So this is going to get, it's actually a 2K product from Bessa, and basically you mix it with the hardener, you spray it on, it goes on thick and bumpy, dries super smooth, and within about 24 hours it turns satin black, but you can wash it. But it makes a nice hard finish that I like. Now I like to use it on Mopars for the stripe packages. I don't do the sticker thing, I like to paint mine on. I'm just a paint guy, so it's just what I like to do. And it looks really good. And unlike flat black, the satin black, if you get a good proper 2K paint, you can wash it, which is nice. So this is going to be pretty clean underneath and pretty nice. There's scratch and marks on that piece we put in because you really got to work it in there. I'm going to give that a quick scuff as well, and we're going to paint and seal the whole thing right in there. I mean, this car, like I say, you could have undercoated this whole car, because to me this is all like new metal and it's like mint. There's no rust anywhere on the bottom, and because that's the case, you're not going to trap any rust anywhere. But this guy doesn't want that. He basically just wants it all blacked out. So give me a sec here. There we go. Just wanted to hit a breaker there and turn off the compressor. So yeah, this is basically what we got going on. We had to come around. This here had been bent over on an angle, so we had to hammer and dolly that back, and this side as well. We put that all back into shape. And like I say, that little bit of primer later when it's dry, we'll give it a quick scuff. And this is basically ready to paint as it is. This white stuff, whatever it is, some kind of sealant, but seems to paint over and work nice. Could be filler. Something in there to seal the fan in. We're not too worried about that, but there was no rust or issues there. So that should be fine. In fact, I'll probably prime right over that because there was a couple spots underneath of whatever that was. And anyway, it's stable, whatever it is, so we're not going to worry about that. Another thing you want to clean up on these cars, these tend to get rusty. I mean, these are pretty good. You can see where it was primed. We didn't do that. That was done from before. You can see a little rust down here, but the other shop, again, this back will be body color because he's going to do it when he does all the jams. So any of that rust, he's going to kind of sandblast and clean it out and do it. We did clean up, you know, I mean, I have to come to here, so I went ahead and did this. I mean, I didn't have to, but why leave that for the other guy, and he's going to try to get up to my paint. This will all be hidden under a cowl anyway, but you just want to do a job. When you seam seal things like this, remember to kind of drag it down in a way that if water sits here, it'll kind of run off and drip out the bottom. You know, there was, the other side had a big gob in here, which would have held all this water in place, or at least now it can run down. So we sealed everything fairly well, as good as we could. This had been welded on, and you can see little pits in here. We basically ran a bead of seam sealer there as well. Seal everything up, give it a chance. And yeah, you can see this side here, we kind of redid all this so at least it can come out here and it'll run down, because you want the water to come out and it drips out the bottom, which is fine. This car might see rain a couple times in its life, but you know, this is obviously not going to be driven in winter and bad weather, so we have that going for us. And then down here there's some rust. The other guy's going to take care of that. I got seam sealer coming around the edge. He's going to have to take some of that off, but when he sandblasts, he can touch that up. So I think that'll be fine. And I mean, it all depends on what a guy's going to take it to, but I know where this car's going, so anything like that that needs to be done, he's going to take care of. You can see there's a little bit of surface rust on that piece. It almost looks like there wasn't paint on that. So, you know, probably 40, 50 years. Whatever was there was thin, so whatever happens there, he's got to clean that up and do whatever he does. See the new floors, there's little spots here and there, you know, up in the corner, look like moisture sat in there. You know, because this car, like I say, someone was working on it and it ended up being parked. And it was parked in a garage with a concrete floor, but it was there for at least 5 years. So what I'm saying is, if it ain't heated, you get condensation, things happen. I mean, you look inside the doors, they're perfect. So there was enough of this black E-coat or whatever it is that it took care of that. Doesn't make the car any less valuable. It just means somebody's got to go around and clean all that up. So I'm doing the bottom of the car and the cowl, firewall. And the guy who paints the car, he's going to get up in here. He'll likely take a small sandblaster or powder blaster in there and clean that all up. Maybe he'll treat it for rust. I don't know what he's going to do, but that's not up to us. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Starting to get pretty excited about the suspension. And the coilovers are, I mean, that's like art. These things are absolutely beautiful, and the machining is amazing. This is our Hotchkiss pan that connects both convertible brackets together under the car. It's like your cross member. And we put all the links together. There's our perches. So yeah, we're getting there. When I get further, we'll do another video. Cheers.